Please welcome our guest, Christine Ferguson, on the Experience Local, live with Russ and Scott.
Hello, and welcome to the Experience Local with Russ and Scott. Each week, they bring you conversations with local Christian businesses and business owners. Join in every Monday live at 9 a.m. Pacific on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. The Experience Local is brought to you each week by wonderful sponsors.
Guild Mortgage. Contact Buddy Puckett at 503-851-8031 and MLS number 270057. Independent Merchant Brokers. Low-cost and no-cost debit and credit card processing. 877-460-4747. IndependentMerchantBrokers.com. Father's Day is coming. Boson Hub Digital Development reminds you. Father's Day Firehouse Fun at Powerland Heritage Park. Learn more, OregonFireMuseum.org. Adams Rib Smokehouse, 1210 State Street, Salem, Oregon, 503-362-2194. AdamsRibSmokehouse.com.
And now, your hosts for the Experience Local, Russ and Scott.
And here we are, live local with Russ and Scott. We are so glad you're here today on the Experience Local. Scott, I am especially glad that Mr. Radio Voice is here since I'm a little shy on voice.
Well, I tell you, the pollen continues to be in the air, even if you're not allergic to it. And I'm fortunate that I'm not. Have you ever looked at pollen under an electron microscope? Google pollen electron microscope. It will be you'll think it's some sort of science fiction creation.
Kind of scary. Well, what it does to me is kind of scary. And this is just kind of par for the course for me. Usually a couple times a year, my allergies get bad enough to where I lose my voice and all of that. But you know what? I'm an overcomer. With God's help, I can do all things. I learned that years ago with the Royal Ranger Pledge. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. So I'm going to keep powering through with my voice, with what I have.
It just makes you sound tough, Russ. So
there you go.
That's good. Well, here we are on the Experience Local, and we focus on believers in business. And today we've got a great guest, and part of what makes this a wonderful community to live in.
Yeah, it is an amazing community, and we are blessed. And one of the big things that happens in the Mid-Willamette Valley is the Veterans Day Parade in Albany. We're going to talk a little bit about that today with Christine Ferguson and all that her involvement and just, how her life and her faith and her family interact with all the things that she does. She's a busy woman. And so super excited to get her in. But before, I just want to remind everybody that we are here every Monday live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And then we also broadcast on radio. And if you want more information on that, Scott's put together an amazing link, local.theexperience.video. You can go directly to that today. You put that in local.theexperience.video. It will take you to all the information that we have, not only about Scott and I, but about the show and all the links and the radio broadcast as well. We'd love for you to do that, as well as if you want to go directly to our YouTube page and you want to subscribe to our YouTube page, we'd love for you to do that. It's the experience.video, and you not only get our local show here, but you get our regular Experience show on Wednesdays, also at 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So we appreciate you for doing that. So, Scott, I am just so thankful for you because you are such a blessing to me. And any last thoughts before we get our guest in and have a conversation?
Russ, I'm glad we get to hang out every week here doing the Experience Local, meeting wonderful businesses like yourself. You are a local business owner yourself. And I also want to give a shout out to Ever in the back. She is the one who does a lot of the promotion and a lot of the posting. So I want to just really thank her. I know she likes to stay behind the scenes, but We want to give her a pat on the back, a virtual pat on the back, and also thank all of the sponsors that are local businesses. You can support every one of these businesses right here in the Mid-Willamette Valley. So thank you to our sponsors for making the Experience Local possible.
That is so great. We are so blessed with amazing sponsors and amazing community. And let's just go ahead and jump right in. Christine is just a delight. She and I have been able to talk a few times. And so everybody, welcome Christine Ferguson. Hi, Christine.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm mostly awesome. Thank you. How are you guys?
Mostly awesome is a great place to be.
Yes.
Well, I can't be totally awesome because Papa still has work to do, but mostly works for me.
I love that. Papa still has work to do in all of us. So I think that is so amazing. Christine, you know, you had actually reached out to me originally, and I'm blessed to know you and all the things that you're doing. Give everybody a little snapshot. Who is Christine Ferguson? What are you up to?
Who is Christine Ferguson? The very basic answer to that is I am one that Papa loves. What do? I do a lot. I'm in charge of the Veterans Day Parade here in Albany. I moved here a little over 4 years ago, and 2.5 years ago, I got kind of shoehorned in to be in charge. I also work with Cub Scouts. I'm a CASA, court-appointed special advocate for foster kids, and I have a Jackson Street kid off and on when they have one that we match.
Mm-hmm. And Jackson Street Youth Shelters is just another fabulous organization here in the Valley, providing a lot of services for our youth that are vulnerable. So thank you for that. And CASA is another great organization, another volunteer organization that people can support. And so, Christine, you came here just a few years ago and got into the parade. How did you make it here to the Valley? Then let's talk about the parade.
Well, I lived in Virginia for quite a long time. I have 2 kids that live there, but I started to get allergic to 4 specific plants that grow there. And I was up to 7 medications a day to be able to breathe. And the doctors wanted to put me on an 8th. And I'm like, no. I have a friend that lives in Albany that we've been friends for 60 years. And I would come out and visit. And whenever I got here, I could breathe. So when I was looking for someplace to move to, I thought I want to live where I can breathe.
Well, I'll just say, because Russ is being affected by the pollen, I have never heard somebody say they moved to the Willamette Valley to get away from hay fever. So, but we are so glad you're here and can breathe.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah. What a blessing. And then the parade jumped into your vision.
Well, as a brand new resident of Albany, I was kind of looking for a way to get connected to my whole community. I mean, I was already after visiting a lot, I was already connected at a church, but that's not a whole community. And I grew up in a community. I have 14 brothers and sisters, so there are 15 kids, 17 people in my family. And to me, that pretty much is a community. And you grow up not focusing on the I, but focusing on the we, and how whatever you do affects other people. And I was raised by Catholic parents, very Catholic parents, and service is what we always did. It was always part of who we were growing up. So it just seems like a natural part of being alive is to be a service person.
And Russ, we just got you muted, so we'll bring you back in.
And that's what I love about you, Christine. You have such a heart of service. And so it is, it's so important with community, everybody coming together. And so, but you mentioned your faith and Papa not being done with you yet and working for it. I think when we come together, I'm a firm believer that we are better together we are definitely better together. And by coming together as community, you're able to do so much. Like Scott said, I've been involved with Jackson Street and CASA and all these organizations, and the Veterans Day Parade, is such an amazing thing. And it really lifts up veterans. It's such a huge, foundation to our country. And so thankful for that. Talk a little bit more about how your faith drove you to these organizations.
Well, as I said, I didn't go looking to be of service. Well, I kind of did. For the parade, I went looking for community connections, people that had the same values, the same ideas. And I had never lived, being married to a service person, I had never lived where there was a Veterans Day parade. So I didn't even know that such things existed. But when we had to close down, I moved into my house in December of 2019 and got connected with the Cub Scouts because I have a neighbor that was a Cub Scout leader. And in March, when we had to close down, one of our kids said, but what are they going to do about the Veterans Day parade? And I'm like, what? And so I thought that might be a good way to connect with my community on a much broader scale than CASA or Jack. And I didn't even at that time know about Jackson Street. So I started looking into it and eventually met Chris Reese and talked to him. And when we had the first meeting for the actual 22 parade, he and McCall Washburn basically walked in the room and said, we don't have time to do a full-on parade. Y'all have fun. Well, I was sitting in the room with one person that I knew, which was Alex Johnson, our mayor. And the way I knew him was because I belonged to the Optimist Club, which is another service organization. And so all the other people in the room knew other things that had gone on with other parades, and I was absolutely clueless. So I listened to them talk for a while, and they didn't seem to want to focus on putting on a parade. So I told Alex that I was going to leave, and he said, you can't leave. And I'm like, why not? And he said, you just can't. So eventually I said, well, if we're not going to do the parade, I'm leaving. And somebody said, well, what do you think we should do? And I said, well, let's start with officers. And we started with like sponsorship and social media and all that. And I said, got to the top and I said, who wants to be in charge? And about 5 people said, well, obviously you are.
Well, I'll take this moment and say remind everybody we're listening to with Christine Ferguson, having a great conversation. Christine Ferguson leading the Veterans Day Parade in Linn County in the Mid-Willamette Valley here. And this is not just a parade. This is an event.
Oh, yeah.
And it is remarkable across the country. Tell us why.
Well, first of all, I think it's the attitude that Linn County has always had toward veterans. There are other parts of the country where after certain eras, veterans were degraded and demoralized and spit upon. And having been in the Norfolk, Virginia area where there is a lot of military, there at one time were yard signs that say sailors and dogs keep off the grass. But Linn County was never that kind of place, ever. They always honored their veterans. They honored their Vietnam veterans. They honored their World War I, World War II, Korea, Afghanistan, always have honored their veterans. And your focus here, or now our focus here, has always been in support of our veterans. And it's kind of an amazing thing.
Yeah. I love that because veterans are near and dear to my heart. My dad and grandfathers were all in the military. And, I love you brought up, we're talking about community and faith, and you brought up some great friends of both Scott's and mine. Chris Reese is a super close friend, a man, a military man, a man of God. And you know, I tell you, the military and the veterans are what has given us the freedom to worship the way that we want to worship in this country. And so thankful for them. And Alex Johnson, the amazing Albany mayor, who's a great friend of ours as well, also been on with Scott and I before. And actually, Chris was our first guest on this show, The Experience Local. So love Chris.
And
But
Mayor Johnson is also a naval veteran himself.
yes. Yes. So, I mean, it's just so amazing. But, you know, I think one thing that people don't realize is that there's so many people like you, Christine, and like Scott and I, that our faith is really driving our reverence for people in the military, our reverence for this country, and the abilities that we have to worship and be the way that we are freely. And so, I mean, talk about that a little more, because you talk about people that, you know, spit on them and did horrible things. And definitely the Willamette Valley is not that way. And that is a blessing.
Oh, it absolutely is. And it's one of the things that makes this parade such a thing, because there are other Veterans Day parades all around the country. And there are a lot of them that are produced and done professionally, that are the city or county that they're in sponsor them, and they have paid staff and all that. But we're a volunteer organization. Everybody volunteers. I do get reimbursement for gas and a stipend like that, but I don't get paid. Nobody on our committee gets paid. Our editor is volunteer. Our network person is a volunteer. Everybody that works on this parade volunteers, and we definitely don't make any money off of it. It probably costs us, to be honest, to do this, but the cost does not negate or even balance with the rewards. And the rewards have been so much more than I ever thought. I have so many stories about wonderful happenings with the parade that and experiences that I never could have had otherwise.
Mm. And Christine is our guest here on The Experience, Christine Ferguson, leading the Linn County Veterans Parade, which is, from what I understand, the largest parade this side of the Mississippi here on the continental U.S. And so this is a big event, and Linn County and the Mid-Willamette Valley here has been wonderful for veterans. The traveling Vietnam Wall, the memorial, came to Timberland Park, and I was able to go there and found my uncle's name there and got an etching, and was able to keep that. But that was due to a lot of volunteers like yourself and the other folks that are putting together the parade here. I would love for you to be able to share a story or two that really, to you, helps people understand, what does it mean to be a part of the parade, and why would people support this? November 11th is the parade this year, of course, on Veterans Day, but I would love to hear one of the stories.
Well, the first year that I was doing it, before I got started, I told them I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never done a parade. The biggest thing I've ever organized in my life is one of my children's birthday parties. So it was a real steep learning curve in 22, but I think it was in August of 22, I got a call from a lady down in Roseburg that said that she had a house full of Rosie the Riveters. And I said, actual, like World War II Rosie the Riveters? And she said, yes. Right now we have 8 of them, but they're ladies that are in their mid-90s. So I don't know how much longer I'm going to have all these women. And we want to come and be in your parade. And I'm like, please come and be in my parade. So I don't y'all probably know who Jay Burcham is. I didn't when I got here, but I've learned. He has a flatbed that he decorates up for World War II and Korean War veterans. And so I asked the Rosies if they would like to be staged in front of Jay and his guys. And from the back of the room, I hear this, "No, dearie, no." And I'm like, "What?" And so this elderly lady fusses at me all the way up to the phone. And she says, "You young whippersnappers just don't understand." And I'm like, I'm 70 some years old. I'm not exactly a young whippersnapper, but I didn't argue with her. And I said, "Well, maybe if you would be kind enough to enlighten me, I could help out better." And she said, "Oh, okay. Well, we take care of our boys. We support our boys. We feed our boys. But we are never in front of our boys because we stand behind them." And I went,
Wow.
"Okay. How would you like to be staged behind Jay's boys?" "Yes, dearie, that will be just fine."
Wow, that is so amazing. I got to say, another amazing man of the community that at some point will be on this show. Jay Burcham is a super great friend of mine. What a blessing in my life. And not only a great man of God, but a great man for the community. And I know that he's been deeply involved with the parade. And see, Christine, you and I were meant to connect because all these amazing people that are in our community. And, this is why I love the whole Willamette Valley, because it's made up of community, some different cities that all come together and work together to do some amazing things. And Scott, I tell you, we're blessed, right?
Oh, absolutely. And Christine Ferguson, who's leading the Linn County Parade effort and organization. And thank you, Christine, for doing that and being a guest with us here. I was just thinking about you're talking about the Rosies coming and being a part of the parade. A lot of local folks, a lot of people marching the parade, and it's all the great bands and all those things. What's the furthest or what's the most unique person that's been a part of the parade or group?
I don't. Well, we have the Submariners that are out of Portland, and we had the Rosies that were out of Roseburg. And somewhere in that vicinity down there, there's a group of counselors and occupational therapists and psychologists and psychiatrists that work just with women veterans with PTSD, because the military hasn't figured out how to take care of men with PTSD, and women react so differently. And so they've been in the parade. They were in the parade in 22, but a bunch of them got sick last year. So I hope they're back this year for the 73rd parade. But I have to finish the Rosie story though.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, last year there was only one Rosie left. And Jay takes his guys to lunch after they get finished with their part of the parade. And so Rosie and I were both invited, and I was sitting at the table with Rosie when the lady that initially called me brought this gentleman to the table, and she asked Rosie if she remembered a certain name, and Rosie just went, "Ah," and stood up. Do you guys know what a bucker is? I'm not talking about a horse. I didn't think so. During World War II, when Rosies were riveting, 13 to 17-year-old kids, guys usually, would be inside the plane or the ship or whatever with a foot-long piece of 2x4 to press against the hull of whatever was being riveted, so that Rosie would have something to press against from the outside to make the rivet take. These kids were called buckers. And this gentleman that came up to talk to Rosie was her bucker.
Oh, wow.
From 1945.
Wow.
So we'll see what happens with Rosie's this year.
Yeah. Well, that's an amazing story, Christine. And you have been amazing to talk to. All that you're doing to keep this parade that is so vital, really, to the whole country. I mean, being one of the largest in the country, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And Scott and I are so grateful you're here. We only have about a minute left of the interview here, but if you could give us just any detail we missed about the parade coming up, like when it's coming, and then how people get in touch with you for more information.
Well, they can always call me at 757-593-5094, or they can go to the website, LinnCountyVeteransDayParade.org. We have a lot of information on the website. We have veteran service organizations. We have veteran-owned businesses. If you want something done around your house, duck cleaning, any kind of stuff, we have all the local veteran-owned businesses listed that we know about. If you know about a veteran-owned business that we don't have listed, please let us know. We would love to list them. The Veterans Day Parade is one of 3 parts of a celebration. Usually the night before the parade, there's a Veteran of the Year Distinguished Veteran Banquet that is hosted by the VFW. This year it'll be on Saturday because Sunday evening people like to go to church and stuff. So Monday is the parade, and Monday morning early at 8:30 in the morning, there's a memorial service at the Veterans Memorial at Timberland Park, and you're all invited to that too. And then the parade starts at 11 on 11/11. So if right now we're looking for sponsors, because you'd never believe how much things like insurance and stuff cost for a parade. And so if you want to be a sponsor, when I first took over, we lowered the lowest sponsorship level from $1,000 down to $200 because it's a community parade. It's not a professional parade. If you want to bring your little red wagon with your kids in it, you can enter the parade. If you have a tractor and you're a farmer, we want you to enter the parade. This is a community parade for Linn County. This is not a professional parade. So LinnCountyVeteransDayParade.org.
That is so great. That's so great. Everybody go to that. And one more time, give that website one more time, Christine.
LinnCountyVeteransDayParade.org.
There you go. Hey, we are blessed to have you with us today. Thanks so much for being here. And everybody, please support Christine in the Veterans Day Parade. Christine, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Blessings.
Wow.
Yeah, just amazing. And I love the story with all of the Rosies and that reunion story. How beautiful. And that all is because Christine and others have chosen to take the opportunity to keep this great tradition, this 11/11 at 11, the Veterans Day Parade.
Yeah, what a blessing. I tell you, I've known so many of those great individuals that have been involved in the parade, and I still am friends with them. And just thankful for people like Christine that volunteer, spend their time. It does cost them time and money. And it also, but it's such a blessing to others. And that's where our faith enters in, where we can be a blessing to others. God put us on this earth, not just for ourselves, but to be a blessing to those around us. And Scott, you're a blessing to me. Thank you again for doing this. And thank you for this amazing show. I appreciate you.
I love you, Russ. Thanks for hosting and being my co-host here.
All right, everybody. Enjoy life. Don't forget to be with us next week, 9 a.m. on Monday, and then listen on radio. Enjoy life and enjoy
the experience.
Thank you for tuning in to The Experience Local with Russ and Scott. Listen to the program on Spotify or wherever you listen to fine podcasts. Join in every Monday live at 9 a.m. Pacific on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. We look forward to seeing you next time on The Experience Local with Russ and Scott.